ticketfm.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, into the Adam Carriker Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Loaded Hour. All right, the Loaded Show here on 93.7 The Ticket, the Adam Carriker Show, the show that gives you unique insights, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, live, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join us each and every day. Well, 4 days a week. You can also join Steve Taylor on Wednesdays, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Ladies and gentlemen, all right, got to give a shout out to The Ticket, as always, theticketfm.com. Also, the Carriker Chronicles. I'm doing some cross promotion. I've been promoting the Adam Carriker Show on the Chronicles, promoting the Carriker Chronicles here on the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket. You can check it out at carrikerchronicles.com. Also, YouTube. Just type in Carriker Chronicles. Couple of things I want to chat about today. All right, right out the gate. What are the chances that Dana Holgorsen is our offensive coordinator next year? And what does he bring to the table for this season? What can we expect this last month, the rest of the bye week? They just wrapped up their last bye week practice this morning right before I went on air. But next week, as they go in to prepare for USC, Wisconsin, and our good old buddies, Iowa. What does exactly does Holgorsen bring to the table? How can he possibly help in a short time frame, if at all? And what are the odds, all right, that maybe Matt Rule's getting ahead of the 8 ball a little bit, brought in a potential offensive coordinator for next year now so he wouldn't have to compete with other schools as much when it comes to trying to get his services for next year? Just something to think about. Something I'm not the only person to talk about this either. All right. Also, Dylan RAIOLA. How could Dylan RAIOLA benefit from Holgorsen's presence now that he's here? So these are the things we're going to talk about. I'm going to be joined by a former Husker offensive lineman and a judge. He's now a judge. We've had a former pilot. I forget what he flew. Tony Sullivan, like F-14, F-27. I don't know what those numbers mean. All right. But a former pilot on the show. We've had governors. We have had senators over the past year and a half since I've been on here. Now we're going to have a judge. Obviously, we have a ton of former Husker football players, Husker athletes in general, softball, basketball, ladies, men's, etc. It's an eclectic mix of people who join this program. All right, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be joining me at about 12:30. Couple of thoughts before we dive into Husker offensive football chatter. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was sent to me. I've seen it before, but I thought I'd share it here today. Never fight until you have to. But when it's time to fight, you fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark. And brother, it's starting to rain. And if you got kids, this one will resonate with you, especially if you've got multiple kids. I have 6. So this rings so freaking true in my house. All right, here we go. Having multiple kids is weird. You have one kid you could trust to be home alone for a whole weekend, and you know they'd eat vegetables, lock the doors, and wash the dishes. Then you have another kid who is not allowed to hold an umbrella, and they're almost the same age. If you have multiple kids, Jake, how many you got?
Just one.
Young, right?
Yeah, 3 years old.
There will come a day when you will find out just how freaking different your kids are. Your DNA only goes so far, and then nature takes over, and as awesome as they are, hell on earth happens sometimes. And I mean that with so much love and a whole lot of sarcasm mixed in as well. Probably my two most different kids are actually my twins. We got 6 kids, but we have twins. They're probably the two most different kids that I have. They're girls. All right, so Desiree will walk out. She's our one girly girl. We have, Jacob's the oldest. We got 5 girls. Most of our girls are kind of like a little bit more tomboyish. They play sports. Like Trinity was asked to join a tackle football team a few years ago because she was so freaking aggressive in flag football. And a lot of our girls are used to playing against boys, whether it be Dakota plays baseball with the boys or playing soccer against the boys or basketball against boys teams. To be clear, there's no gender confusion. I'm just saying our girls are used to being pretty aggressive. We got one girly girl, Desiree. She'll come out, dress, crown, makeup, wanted to get her ears pierced at 7. Well, she wanted to get her ears pierced at like 4. I said no until 7. Even mom was getting on me at that point. And then her twin, Dakota, will come out like a jersey, hat on backwards. She got the football wide receivers gloves on. Kids can be so different. Ours just happen to be our twins. All right. A couple other things, then we'll dive into some Nebraska football offensive coordinator, quarterback, football chatter. All right. This is a question I have for Jake. Has a team never held a lead at any point in the season in the history of college football? Right now, Kent State has never led in their 9 games, and they're about to go 0-9, probably.
Oh, no.
Has a team never led? Like never led in the season before?
I don't know. I've never heard of such a thing.
Dude, you got to Google that. Google that real quick. I want to know the answer to that. Kent State. Oh, thoughts and prayers. All right. On the other hand, Army is now, because Indiana trailed 10-0 to Michigan State last weekend before whipping their rear end sideways up in East Lansing. But Army is now the only team in the country that's not trailed all year long. They also are number 1 when it comes to points allowed. Number 2 is Texas, 11.5 points per game. Ohio State is 3rd, 12 points per game allowed. Notre Dame 4th, Tennessee 5th. All these big recognizable brands, and I love the service academies. Army is number 1 in the nation in points allowed, giving up 11.3 points per game. All right, Jake, you got the answer?
Well, at least according to the first Google search, AI tells me no college football team has never led a game.
Well, if it's on the internet, it must be true. All right. Here's another trivia question for you. By the way, Carriker's Trivia Challenge is being moved to Friday this week. Friday. Try to take down yours truly tomorrow. All right. Jake, here's your trivia challenge. You have a 1 in 18 chance of getting this right.
Okay.
Who, entering week 11, which team leads the Big Ten in tackles for loss? Don't overthink it.
Oh, man. I know Nebraska's second. I saw the graphic, and I immediately went to Nebraska because that's who I care about.
It's Nebraska.
Is it Nebraska?
It is Nebraska. Ohio State
Nebraska's
second.
Okay.
Well,
good.
according to the graphic I'm looking at, Nebraska has 57 tackles for loss. Yeah, it is Nebraska 1, Ohio State 2.
Okay.
57, Ohio State 56, Oregon 55, Michigan 53, Penn State 52, Michigan State 49. All right. Nebraska's defense, when it comes to sacks and tackles for loss, they've actually been like, I don't want to say actually, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, they've done a lot of good things this year. Okay, you think of the second half versus Illinois, obviously not what they wanted. And Indiana as a whole, not what they wanted. And you think about, 2.5 quarters versus UCLA. So we played, 36 quarters of football this year? That's 8 quarters I'm sure they wish they could have back. All right, and they want to go 36 for 36. And Tony White's a really good coach. But that means they played 28 quarters of good football. Do you think if we added the special teams and the offensive quarters of good football together, it would equal 28, Jake?
I don't think so.
I think it'd be close. But I'd give without actually doing it, I'd give the defense a nod.
The special teams have to be good or just not be awful.
If we're talking good quarters, you got to actually be good. I've asked for them to just be below average, which they've been actually since the Indiana game ended. We've actually been slightly below average, which is all I asked for, right?
Yeah.
Not trying to be condescending, just being realistic, because we were way below average at one point. We were a flat-out liability. Now can we get to average? Do you think we can get to average by the end of the year? Average, just average. Like if it's a 45-yard field goal or less, we got a 90% chance to make it. No more missed extra points. But in general, no other boo-boos. Yeah, I said that. No other boo-boos when it comes to special teams areas.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, there's no threat in return, but I suppose just catching the ball is half the battle.
All right. I thought some of those things in general were interesting. Let's talk a little bit of Husker offensive football. You look at Dana Holgorsen, and here's the deal. Why is he here? All right. Why is Phil Snow here? So why now? How much impact can they really make now? And I'll talk about Phil Snow tomorrow because there was an idea that popped into my head. And to be clear, here's what I'm rooting for. Go to USC and win. Look a lot better in all phases. Same thing with Wisconsin, Iowa. Don't talk to me about what's realistic. That's just what I want. That's what I'm rooting for. And by the way, it could happen. We could also go 0-3 down the stretch. Neither of those seem uber likely, but they are still possible. All right? They are still possible. Like in the realm of possibility, they're on the board of being possible. Okay? That's what I'm rooting for. Barring that happening, and again, I mentioned neither one of them seem likely to go 3-0, 0-3. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. So my point is that's what I'm rooting for. But if I put myself in the head man's shoes, and I'm like, all right, I got some hard decisions to make at the end of this year. I've got to evaluate the offensive line's play. I've got to evaluate the wide receivers' play. I've got to evaluate everybody, but specifically thinking about certain areas, the running backs' play, and et cetera, et cetera. You know, the quarterback has not improved throughout the year. Is that the quarterback? No, it's not the 19-year-old true freshman quarterback. So I've got to evaluate why that is. And we still got 3 games left to play. That's going to be evaluated as well. But if I'm thinking to myself, you know what? There's a decent chance I may have to make a change at the offensive coordinator position at the end of this year. Clearly isn't going to do it during the year. You know, and by the way, I want to put all that behind us. We know what's going on now. I'm not going to talk about what should happen, what I want to be done. I have yelled it from the hilltops, from the mountaintops. So now it's like we know what's going to happen. Nobody's going to be moved coaching-wise. We're going to bring in 2 analysts, and that's what we're doing the rest of the year. It's pretty clear. So I don't see a point at this point in talking about what we want to happen or what we believe should happen. I've said it a million times. Now let's look forward. Now let's look to, all right, going into USC. A team that, by the way, is a wounded animal, just like Nebraska. We're looking at them. They're 4-5. They've lost 5 one-score games. Sound familiar? My point is they're a wounded animal. They're looking at Nebraska. Oh, here comes this team from Lincoln. They're a wounded animal. 2 wounded animals coming out of a bye week are going to meet in the LA Coliseum in 2 Saturdays. And one team's going to walk out with another loss for Nebraska. If that was them, I hope not. But if it is, the bowl game's still on the table. And one team's going to walk out feeling, all right, we got a little bit of momentum going forward. We just beat a major brand in college football. Regardless of which team it is, they're playing another major brand, top 10 brand in college football. Both these schools are a top 10 brand and a recognizable name, recognizable school. Phenomenal football histories of both these schools over time. And so somebody's going to feel like they're gotten back on track and somebody's going to feel like they got more work to do the last 2 games of the year. But we pretty much know what's going to happen coaching-wise. So I'm going to look forward from now on. And if I'm Matt Rhule and I'm looking forward and I'm projecting down the road the last month of the season, last 3 games into the offseason, and if there's a good chance I need to make it an offensive coordinator position, I need to start looking ahead. And I'm looking around. I'm like, who's available now? Who can I try to get in-house now? And I'm looking at a guy named Dana Holgorsen, who I brought in last January. And I just saw a picture of Rhule when he coached at Baylor, shaking Holgorsen's hand after a game when they had played each other. Holgorsen was at West Virginia. I actually took a snapshot. It's very grainy, but I got the snapshot. It was on the computer. And, yeah, he's coming in to help. And I got some ideas of how he's going to help. But the other thing I'm projecting is, you know what? If I got to make a change, there's a decent chance I might just bring the guy in-house now. That way it's not a wide open bidding war with other schools trying to get him too. That's how I see it. Could be wrong. I don't think so. Does that kind of make sense, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think the timing makes sense there. I mean, keep in mind, if you're one of those guys that that gets frustrated by how much they pay coordinators, you're not going to want to see it if it happens, because it would probably be, right up there with Chip Kelly as the top paid offensive coordinator in the nation.
I could care less how much they pay him. Let's start winning some games, scoring some points.
Yeah.
They got enough money. I don't want to hear we don't have money. All the money we spent on fired coaches over the years. That is the topic for about 15 shows in the offseason, but I don't want to hear about it. You can afford it. Okay, don't give me that crap. All right. So let's learn a little bit more about Dana Holgorsen. I did a deep dive, then I'm going to give you some thoughts on how I think he can help. Dana Holgorsen, 53 years old, been coaching for 31 years, quarterbacks coach. All right, 5 different times. All right, his first ever coaching job was quarterbacks and wide receivers, I might add, which is why, his strength is the passing game. All right, he's been an OC at 4 different schools and a head coach twice, obviously West Virginia, Houston. Now, when I look at this squad, and I talked about this a little bit the other day, this coaching squad, this coaching staff, we have 3 former / current head coaches right now. That's crazy. Rule, Satterfield, 2 years at Tennessee Tech, by the way. He had a 6-16 record in 2016-17. And Dana Holgorsen, 13 years as head coach. Rule, this is his 12th year as a head coach. Satterfield, 2 years. That's 27 years combined head coaching experience on this staff right now. You look at offensive coordinator experience, we got 4 guys. All right, Rule, Holgorsen, Satterfield, and Glenn Thomas. And there's 38 years of combined offensive coordinator experience. We should be able to get something figured out. I'm just saying, all right, quarterbacks. All right, let me come back to that. As far as offensive coordinator experience, 38 years combined. Rule, 4 years. And you got to keep in mind, he's coached all over. Offensive line, defensive line, quarterbacks. Like, one thing I like about him is he has experience everywhere. I thought it was interesting that Holgorsen actually has 1 more year of head coaching experience. Rule started in 13. Holgersen's first year as a head coach was 12. All right, but Rule, 4 years as an offensive coordinator. Holgorsen, 10. Thomas, 11. Satterfield, 13, by the way, Jake. Just saying. 38 years of combined offensive coordinator experience. Get something figured out. Quarterbacks coaching experience. Quarterbacks coach experience. Glenn Thomas, by far the most, 16 years. Satterfield, 5. Rule, 4. Holgorsen, 10. That's 35 combined years of quarterback-specific coaching experience. All right. I did a little bit deeper dive into Holgorsen's past. You start out at Texas Tech, 05, 06, 07. First year as an offensive coordinator was 05. They were number 4, number 8, number 3 in the country in total yards. Quarterback Graham Harreld led the nation in offense, number 1 in passing offense in America, 470 pass yards a game. He set all sorts of records down there at Texas Tech, a place where all they do is set records. Cliff Kingsbury, all these former Texas Tech quarterbacks have set all these records, all right? Graham broke a lot of their records while he was there. Houston, his next tenure, 563 yards during his tenure. They averaged 563 yards a game, 434 yards passing offensive coordinator, okay? And averaged 42.2 points per game. 2008 specifically, number 3 in the country in total offense. 2009, the next year, number 1 in the country in total offense. Quarterback Case Keenum is a sophomore. Averaged 403.2 pass yards per game as a junior, 416.4 yards per game. Then he goes to Oklahoma State. I read some of these the other day, but one of us talks so fast you might have missed it. So let's talk about some of the school records they set at Oklahoma State while he was the OC. Total yards, scoring, passing yards, pass attempts, pass completions. The total yards, record that they set was 6,451. This is at a school where they aren't exactly known for defense, and they set these records. 5 school records. All right, 6,451 total yards. Points scored, 539. This is in a season. Passing yards, 4,256, as well as attempts and completions. And you go to West Virginia, where he's a head coach. Leads them to a Big East championship back when that conference existed. Coach Geno Smith, who's still in the NFL. And I remember Geno. He was in the Heisman race for a while. Was projected to be a first-round pick. It's one of those draft nights where you're not getting picked and you feel bad for the guy. He comes back the next night, but he's a second-round pick. All right, and what over 10 years later, he's still in the NFL starting for the Seahawks. He led West Virginia to their first ever Orange Bowl appearance. I remember this game too. They upset Clemson 70-33. I remember thinking, I thought Clemson was going to win this game. Holy crap, West Virginia's going to win this. Holy crap, there's another touchdown. It was 70-33. They set a school record in points for a bowl game. All right, he was the Houston head coach. The offense continued to produce. He was fired November 2023. Had some off-the-field stuff, okay? This year until he was brought into Lincoln on Monday, working as a TCU defensive analyst. I met him at practice yesterday. I was at Nebraska's practice yesterday. Matt Rule shot me a text, invited me to come to practice, invited me to come talk to the team. Man, it is fun to talk about people and voice your opinion and then get to go see them in face to face, Jake. But that's part of the gig. Coaching football, especially at past high school, is hard. Especially when you're getting paid what they are. Doing this job, when Rule invited me, I was like, well, the first thing I want to do is I want to shake Ed Foley, Marcus Satterfield, and Rule's hands. Those are 3 guys I've talked about the most. I'm standing there, I'm chatting with a couple former players. Ed Foley, about halfway through practice, going to walk right by me. I stuck my hand out, looked him right in the eye. He did the same. Said, hi, Adam, good to see you. Walked right by. We shook hands like men. I appreciated that from Ed. After I spoke to the team, I specifically looked for Marcus Satterfield. Hey, Marcus. He turned around, shook his hand, said, Coach, I'm rooting for you. Looked me in the eye. He didn't say anything, but looked me in the eye, shook my hand. I appreciated that. Matt Rule, I'll tell you what. He mentioned in front of the team, Adams criticized me publicly. Well, that's very true. It's not like he told a lie. But Matt Rule, instead of doing what some other coaches would have done, I love Bo Pelini. Bo Pelini would have been so pissed at me. There's no chance he invites me to anything under God's hot sun, even though he coached me and I was a former player. This is actually one thing I respect about Rule. He invited me anyway. He even mentioned, hey, Adam's got the right to publicly criticize me. Jake, I talk for a living. Help me out. My point is I shook his hand multiple times. We chatted real briefly. He had to get on his plane to go recruit. I said, hey, Coach, good luck recruiting. I can respect that. I showed up. I looked everybody in the eye, shook all their hands. I appreciated them. There's always an open door. As a former player, you can always go. Like, it's not like this was some sort of anomaly. Oh, my God, you got to go to no, I can go at any point in time. I know that. Jay Foreman's the point guy for former players as far as going to practices. This was a little different because Rules, he texted me at like 11:30 at night on election night. All right. And I didn't see it till the next morning. I was like, you know what? I'll move this meeting I got. And I'll go. And I appreciated that. And Matt Rule earned some respect from me. That's a classy way to conduct yourself. I want more wins on the field. I want a better offense. But I can respect that. And I appreciated it. And like I said, I can go at any point. It's not like when Frost was here. If you're a player in the media, you're not allowed to come unless the media is invited. You weren't treated like a normal former player, which was not ASA 7, not ASA 8, was ASA 9. So I appreciated that from Matt Rule. He changed that rule so we can go at any point. Just got to let him know. But for him to specifically invite me, I appreciated that. Letting me talk to the team, I appreciated that. Chatted with a few of the players afterwards. It was great. But my point is, I looked all these guys in the eye, shook their hand, and it was conducted like respectful men. And that was a cool thing. All right. Let's see here. We got a break, don't we, Jake?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay. So I want to get into more specifically what I believe Holgorsen can do. This is why Carriker's trivia got bumped to Friday, because I knew this was going to be long, but we had the interview scheduled. So we're going to bring on a judge, a former Husker and a judge, here in about 5 minutes. We're a little late calling him. Go ahead and call him. There, Jake. But then at the end of this, we're going to close this out, and I'm going to talk about what I think Holgorsen can specifically do, okay? And then how Dylan RAIOLA can specifically benefit from it. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
NEBCO is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. NEBCO offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From NEBCO's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day and light winds, an afternoon high around 55. Tonight, partly cloudy and calm with a low near 38. And tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies and showers arriving in the afternoon. See a high near 55. I'm meteorologist Kyle Carriker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Before you start blowing and raking leaves this season, make sure you know where they go. Yard waste is not garbage, especially in Lincoln, where it's converted into earth fuel compost. All grass clippings and leaves must be separated from household trash from April 1st until November 30th each year. It's the law. Yard waste belongs in a paper lawn bag, or you may request a bin from your trash hauler who will pick it up for a small fee. Remember, no trash or branches are allowed in yard waste. Get the details at lincoln.ne.gov/recycle.
You have a big investment in your farming operation. Let Landmark Implement help you get the most out of your equipment by investing in pre-season service inspections. Let our John Deere trained and certified technicians provide you with a complete list of repairs that will help your equipment perform better and deliver maximum performance. At Landmark, buy 3 equipment service inspections and get the 4th free. Contact your local Landmark service manager for details and experience the Landmark difference.
It happens. All of a sudden, you need a plumber. Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Problem solved with Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Brentford plays Bournemouth at 9 a.m., followed by Brighton taking on Man City at 11:30 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Liverpool will take on Aston Villa at 2 p.m. On Sunday, Man United faces off against Leicester City, while Chelsea will play Arsenal at 10:30 a.m. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Hey guys, it's Nick. Join 93.7 The Ticket this Friday night from Concordia University as we bring you Class B playoff action. The 2-seed Seward Blue Jays host 10-seeded Gretna East. Gretna East went 6 hours from home last Friday and upset Garing 44-7, while the Blue Jays hosted Lincoln Pius X and staved off an early exit with a 21-20 victory. Kickoff is slated for 7 p.m. with pregame coverage starting at 6:50. Join us this Friday for high school playoff action between number 2 Seward and number 10 Gretna East, right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now that Halloween is over and you're gearing up for Christmas, it's time to head to Tailored Life in Bennett to get ready with local shopping. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home for both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of Christmas trees in all different colors, plus many other fall and winter holiday items and landscape lighting to enhance the outside of your home. Don't forget their home goods for indoors, plus convenient drinks and snacks, most of which are produced locally. Visit Tailored Life today in Bennett and stay tuned to their Facebook page at Tailored Life 360 for food truck events coming up. There are moments in life, surrounded by family and friends, when you realize this is what it's all about. For 65 years, the Riddles family has been creating jewelry to capture these precious moments, crafting one memory at a time to last forever. Now, join them in celebrating Riddles Jewelry's 65th anniversary with incredible savings. Enjoy up to 30% off engagement rings. And for a limited time, save up to an additional $700 on your ring purchase. At Riddles, they're more than jewelry. They're here to help you create moments that truly sparkle, surrounded by the people who matter most. Family owned. Today, tomorrow, forever. Riddles Jewelry.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. Segment 2 of this fine program is sponsored by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue at 11th and Cornhusker. Open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, go try their burnt end sandwich, a delicious brisket burrito, phenomenal barbecue nachos, and a full slab of ribs, a half-smoked chicken, and much, much more, plus incredible sides. Get fueled for your lunch today or make dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, located at 11th and Cornhusker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now I want to bring on our special guest, a former Nebraska offensive lineman. All right, now a judge, Mr. MJ Flaum. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Adam. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, life is good. Life is always a little bit better when we're having a bye week after a win, but it's okay. All right, we got something to look forward to, playing that USC game here in about a week. But, man, I'm very curious. We've had an eclectic mix of people join me on the year and a half I've been doing this show, but I do think it's the first time I've ever had a judge join me. So I'm curious, what's the process? All right, you're at Nebraska. Your career ends at Nebraska. What happens next, and what's the process that brought you into being a judge?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So I took about a year off, looked at getting into coaching. I coached high school football back here in Colorado for a year, and then felt like I really wanted to do something more career-wise, more educational-wise. So I went to Creighton Law School and spent 3 years at Creighton getting a law degree. Loved it, fell in love with the city of Omaha, wonderful experience. But I graduated in 2009, and the job market was not the best that it's ever been. So I ended up coming back home to Colorado and got a job as a district attorney in Adams County, Colorado. I did that for about 8 years, and then was contacted by a couple of individuals, and they gauged my interest in seeing if I would apply for the bench. I did so, and I was appointed as a county court judge here in Adams County, Colorado by Governor Hickenlooper, and I've been doing this for the last 8 years.
All right, so a couple of things. First of all, that's one of the few times it's okay to be a J-Sker. It's perfectly acceptable to be a J-Sker in that way, so congratulations on the law degree. Talk to me about being a DA, because I've often, I'll watch these lawyers, like my mom loved, I'm going to show my mom's age a bit, much love mom, but Perry Mason and Matlock back in the day. So I grew up watching all these lawyer shows with my mom, and I was like, man, would I be a DA? Would I be a defense attorney? There's pluses and challenges to both. So being a DA, what is that like? Because you're trying to convict people of crimes. Is there ever a doubt? What if I'm wrong? What if I convict the wrong person? Or what is that process like? And what's that job like?
Yeah, great question. I love that job. It got you in the courtroom. It got you in front of people. You're interacting with members of your community as jurors, as defendants, as victims. To me, I always loved the prosecution side of things because we had a lot of power in the sense that if you did come across a case that you were unsure about, if you did have some doubts about somebody's guilt or involvement with a crime, we had the authority to dismiss that case, to decide not to pursue that charge. So, I always appreciated that about the district attorney's office that I worked in and the job that we did. And so because of that discretion, no, I never felt like I was prosecuting somebody who didn't deserve it. I definitely had cases presented to me that I felt like the appropriate thing to do was to dismiss those charges.
So you didn't mention ever being a defense attorney, but I'm curious if you could put yourself in their shoes for a minute. You're obviously trying to get innocent people, off and to get them to be free if you're a defense attorney. But I have to imagine there's times when a defense attorney is defending someone they probably know is not innocent. How challenging do you think that would be if you were ever in that position?
Yeah, I would imagine it can be really difficult. I think that what's important in our criminal justice system for everybody involved to remember, whether you're a DA or a defense attorney or a judge, is that the ultimate goal is to achieve justice, right? And it's not winning or losing or anything in between. It's how do we achieve justice? And many of the defense attorneys that I've become very, very close friends with have explained to me that what drives them in that role and keeps them going in that role isn't necessarily to win or lose a case, but rather to ensure that the government is meeting their burden, doing their job, and making sure to hold the prosecution to their legal standard before we start to convict individuals or take away somebody's freedom. We need to make sure that the government is, meeting their burden of proof and doing things the way that they're supposed to be doing them. So I think that a lot of defense attorneys take the approach of it is their job to ensure that the government is acting in accordance with the Constitution.
All right, man. So being a judge, all right, you're a judge now, and let's say somebody is convicted of something, and it's upon you to, come up with a sentence, so to speak. What is that like? Because there's obviously, you can go shorter, you can go longer. I don't know all the legal terms, so maybe you can help out there if you'd like. But what is that like when you're trying to figure out, what type of consequence someone should have if they're found guilty of something?
Yeah, you're doing great. You got all the terms down.
Thank you.
It can be challenging at times. I think one of the biggest things that we have to weigh when imposing a sentence is we really have to balance the community safety interest with the victim's interest, if there is a victim in that case, and then also consider what's best for the defendant, not only now, but in the long run, right? So with a lot of the cases that I deal with as a judge, a lot of these individuals are going to be back in society in very short order. Some of them, most of them, immediately on probation. But even if we impose some type of a jail or community corrections or Department of Corrections sentence, usually these sentences are going to result in their release inside of a year or two. So a lot of times we have to take a look at what is going to best assist somebody in avoiding future contact with law enforcement. How do we keep them out of the system long term? And it can be a really fascinating and interesting conversation with all of the parties of the case on how you kind of balance those needs. But, I take a lot of pride and I want to make sure that I'm doing my best to try and identify sort of how an individual ended up in court in the first place, and through honest conversations and honest evaluations, try and figure out how we can best alter their life in a positive direction so that they're not, reoffending. I think if we never see that individual again, then everybody involved wins. So it's a great question. I'm not sure that I answered it, but you kind of have to weigh all three of those things when you're imposing a sentence.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. So throughout the course of a trial, obviously there are some things that the laws are pretty clear and defined on as to what's allowed in a court, what's not allowed. But some of those things are like a little bit discretionary. And, I think of maybe a line of questioning that a certain attorney may have with, whether it be the prosecutor or the defending lawyer, with a witness on the stand. And sometimes, the opposing lawyer will object and they don't want that question. Like, how do you determine this question is okay, this line of questioning is not? Because I got to imagine some of that's a little bit more subjective rather than cut and dried by the law.
Yeah, you hope that most of it is pretty cut and dry by the law. Occasionally it is a little subjective. Personally, I probably err on the side of, if it's the defense, I kind of err on the side of bringing in. If it's the prosecution, I think you really got to be careful on making sure that they're only introducing evidence that they really have a foundation and a legal basis to do so. I think you always want to give that deference to the defense. It's the defendant's liberty that's at stake. It's the prosecution's burden to prove that case. So if it is a close call, that's usually how I look at it, is I'll usually give the benefit of the doubt to the defendant. He typically has more at stake. He or she has more at stake.
All right, my man, last two questions for you. So you hand out a sentence. Obviously, you're trying to do the best you can, help that individual. You don't want to see them in court again, everything you've kind of mentioned. Do you ever have any sort of concern like, hey, this guy might, or this woman might try to get revenge on me later if they don't like the sentence? Has that ever been a concern of yours?
I'll be honest with you, it probably more as a district attorney.
Okay.
When I was initially hired out here, this is kind of a dark story, but one of the district attorneys that I replaced when I was initially hired in Adams County was murdered, and he was killed down in Denver. Wonderful guy, had a great family, and that murder always went unsolved. And it's always been unclear, was it some type of retaliation, or was it, completely unrelated to his job as a district attorney? But that was really a feeling that hung over that office while I was there, and kind of this concern that's in the back of everybody's mind when you do this type of work, whether you're a DA or a defense attorney or a judicial officer. My hope at the end of the day is that regardless of what my decision is in a case, is that everybody involved feels like they were treated with dignity and respect. They feel like they were heard. And I hope that there's no long-term anger or ill will at the individuals involved, specifically me. But I also think it's something that at some point you just sort of have to remove from your mind and do your job.
All right, man, this may not be the most fluid transition in the world, but you did wear the N on your helmet, former Husker. So I got to ask you, do you think Nebraska gets the win at USC? And what do you think? Like, what's your final record prediction for them? Nobody has a freaking clue, but what do you think?
Oh, man. Before the season started, I was feeling pretty good. I thought 8 wins was very obtainable. At this point, I got to hope that we just hit that 6-win mark. I think we'll get it done. I'm not sure which one of these next 3 games we're going to win. I could also see us, picking off one or quite frankly, even all 3 of them, depending on what type of team shows up. But I think Rule is the right guy for the job. I love what I'm hearing from him, and I think we just got to start seeing some results on the field.
Well, I appreciate your time. I think a lot of Husker fans agree with you as far as just getting one more freaking win. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me.
You got it, Adam. Anytime, buddy. Good to catch up.
All right, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Brick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Now that Halloween is over and you're gearing up for Christmas, it's time to head to Tailored Life in Bennett to get ready with local shopping. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home for both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of Christmas trees in all different colors. Plus, many other fall and winter holiday items and landscape lighting to enhance the outside of your home. Don't forget their home goods for indoors, plus convenient drinks and snacks, most of which are produced locally. Visit Tailored Life today in Bennett and stay tuned to their Facebook page at Tailored Life 360 for food truck events coming up.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
John Henry's has a brand new membership club to protect your entire home in one program. With a VIP and a deluxe option, we will help you find the plan that best fits your needs. Receive discounts on services and equipment, priority service, complimentary inspections, and so much more. Protect your home's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical systems all in one membership. Call John Henry's to learn more.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Our first jersey auction of the season is Saturday, November 9th at 6:05 p.m. when the Lincoln Stars host the Fargo Force for Military Appreciation Night at the Icebox. Stick around afterwards for a post-game jersey auction. Proceeds from the auction benefit Hero Stock, and you can get your tickets now at LincolnStars.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. F Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
Before you start blowing and raking leaves this season, make sure you know where they go. Yard waste is not garbage, especially in Lincoln, where it's converted into earth fuel compost. All grass clippings and leaves must be separated from household trash from April 1st until November 30th each year. It's the law. Yard waste belongs in a paper lawn bag, or you may request a bin from your trash hauler who will pick it up for a small fee. Remember, no trash or branches are allowed in yard waste. Get the details at lincoln.ne.gov/recycle.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solution offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2040 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretexcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back, ladies and gentlemen. Jake, hit the mic. We missed the boom. That's okay. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. All right, it's truly loaded, this last segment. As always, powered by The Ticket at theticketfm.com. Also, Carriker Chronicles at carrikerchronicles.com and on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, if I forget to ask for questions, you can always send in questions. We will get to them. All right, Jake has got two on the docket. The first one is very intriguing to me because it's about Florida whining about money. But the second one is about Holgorsen, and he doesn't run the ball What are my thoughts on that? But go ahead with number one, Jake.
All right, this one from Justin Rogan on YouTube here. Seems like Florida will not be shopping for a new head coach. Billy Napier will continue as head coach here at Florida, according to Scott Strickland, their athletic director. The question is this due to the NIL era? We're not seeing coaches fired like we were in even Scott Frost cycle. Week 3, week 4, seems like teams are waiting longer. All the new rules in college football playing a factor into this?
So another way I heard this phrase, kind of what you're saying is, can schools afford it? Because they got to pay players. I don't want to hear whining, complaining, and moaning. This is now a multi-billion-dollar business. If you're Timbuktu, whoever that might be, okay. If you're the University of Florida, just shut up. If you're the University of Nebraska, don't whine about money. I don't want to hear it. You're making too much money if you're a Big Ten or SEC team. Those two conferences specifically, nobody's making more than teams in the Big Ten, and that includes the SEC. Florida's in the SEC. They're making plenty. This ain't got nothing to do with money. And if it does, that's their problem, not ours. My point is, I don't think he should be fired. I'm just going to let that set out there in the universe for a second. I don't think he should be fired. They're 4-4. They have the most brutal schedule in America. I've spoken about this at least half dozen times since last June. They have played 7 teams that at what point this year were ranked in the top 10. Many of them still are. 7 teams that are currently ranked in the top 15, from Miami to Texas A&M to Tennessee to Georgia to Texas to LSU to Ole Miss. I guess Florida State's a rival, but that would be team number 8. They were at one point a top 10 team. I didn't throw them in there. My point is, it's like they're playing an NFL schedule. They have the most brutal schedule in the country, and they're 500, and they are on their backup quarterback. They would have beaten Georgia. He got hurt, and now they're down to their third-string quarterback. If you watch that Tennessee game, a game they lost in overtime, they were going to beat Tennessee. Their starter goes down, backup wasn't ready. I don't so know that he was ready, but he wasn't ready for that moment. They get him playing well. They're playing Georgia. They're tied with Georgia. They're out playing Georgia. He gets hurt. Now they're on their third-string quarterback. Georgia ends up winning. A lot of these losses are versus top 5, top 10 teams. We're talking by 7 points, 6 points, overtime. I don't know that Billy Napier is the answer. I don't know that he's the best or worst coach in America. What I am saying is, if he finishes with this schedule, with that Florida Gators team at 500, I tell you what, I got no problem with them keeping him. Don't tell me about money. The biggest strike against him is that Miami game. It was on national television. It's an in-state rival. Miami went over and talked to your recruits on your home field, in your face, your recruits that you were hosting. And they slapped you in the mouth and stuck their foot so far up their rear. Your rear, you could, gosh dang it, I messed that up. You're supposed to be able to brush their teeth and shine your shoes at the same time, but I messed it up. The fact is, you lost 41-17 to an in-state rival on national television, and then they went over and talked to your recruits. You get beyond that, I actually have no problem with what he's done. All right. Is stick your foot so far up their rear they can shine your shoes and brush their teeth at the same time.
There you go. That's a good one.
All right. What's the next question?
All right. This one also off of YouTube here. Joel asks, Adam, it feels like every coach says we are going to run, but hires an offensive coordinator that is pass heavy. What's different about this one?
So let's get into what Dana Holgorsen can do, how he can help, how Dylan RAIOLA can benefit. All right. So I'm just going to reiterate some of the quarterbacks he's worked with. Graham Harrell, record setter. Case Keenum, record setter, second-round pick from Houston. Never happens. Brandon Weeden, first-round pick. Geno Smith, still in the NFL. Will Grier. If you don't know who he is, Google him. A lot of records there as well. My point is he a run-first guy? Nope. Is he a run-second guy? Nope. He's a guy that's going to be here and is the perfect complementary help and coach to Dylan RAIOLA. He's a guy who's going to help a school who hasn't been able to pass the ball effectively since Zach Taylor. That's my senior year. He was the offensive player of the year in the Big 12. That's 2006, ladies and gentlemen. That's 18 years ago. Who has passed the ball effectively since at Nebraska?
Joe Gans right after him.
I forgot about Joe. Okay, other than Joe. What was that? 07, 08?
Yeah.
Since Joe. Joe did phenomenal, by the way.
No, that's pretty much it.
I mean, there were guys who did it at times. At times, Tommy Armstrong has a lot of pass numbers. At times, I'm not going to go naming these guys because it sounds like I'm saying negative things. I got nothing but love for Tommy Armstrong and all those guys. But they did as much with their legs as anything else. And that's not a knock. My point is he a run-first guy? No. Matt Rule wants to be a run-first guy. So, again, some things don't add up. But if you want to score points, you want to win games and help the offense, that's Dana Holgorsen. Here's how I think he can help. I think he can help by simplifying things. Sometimes, if you're not the best at what you do, you try to add more. And you try to add more, and you try to add more. Sometimes, less is more. I know he's trying to learn the jargon. He's not making them learn his lingo. Dana's learning the Huskers playbook, and he's going to go in there and he's going to try to simplify. If you look at what they're doing, it's too complicated. I don't care if it's a 19-year-old true freshman or a guy who's done it for 4 years. You need to simplify. Dylan Raiola missed a few reads, missed a few wide open guys. There's too much going on for him. The first thing Dana's going to say is we need to simplify. Also, we need to be able to go faster. We can't look like we're in slow motion in a 2-minute offense. We can't be running a 4-minute offense in a 2-minute offense. They were in a 2-minute offense versus UCLA. It took them 4 minutes to score from our own 46-yard line, by the way. That's why I say that. We've got to be able to go quicker. If you simplify, less is more. By the way, the less you have, the faster you can go. The better a young quarterback's going to play. You don't have to do a million things. If you try to be good at everything, you may not be good at anything. So I think that's how he can help in just simple little concepts. You look at Scott Frost, his schemes worked. He was not a leader of men or of college kids. Okay, but his schemes worked. We haven't had schemes. Even Mark Whipple's schemes worked at times. You can't say that we consistently have people wide open every once in a while, but we've got people that are covered like glue. So I think that's what he can do. And how can Dylan benefit? The simpler it is. He's got the talent. He's got the ability. He works hard. I hear nothing but great things about him from everybody. Everybody says great things. It will allow it to be simpler for him, easier for him. All these record-setting quarterbacks that have played for Dana, I'm not saying Dana's got all the answers. I'm not saying Dylan's all of a sudden going to become a record-setting quarterback. What I'm saying is we have a ton of guys with head coaching experience, offensive coordinator experience, quarterback coaching experience. Dana Holgorsen is among them. We've got a young, talented quarterback. We got to be able to figure it out, and I feel like the opportunity and the percentage chance of us figuring that out just went higher. I don't know if it's going to be this year. I think that's the best way to do it, sooner rather than later. But going into next year, the chances of us figuring out a much better passing game have gone up. And even in the short term, they're probably at least slightly improved. And over time, I believe greatly improved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I appreciate that. He just jumps in with a yes. I appreciate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm excited about tomorrow's show. If you think potentially about what the 3 coordinator positions could look like, whether the guys stay or go, I've got some ideas whether guys stay or go. It could be very, very interesting and potentially very, very exciting. Until tomorrow, Husker Nation, go, go Big Red. And always remember to throw the bunch.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Brentford plays Bournemouth at 9 a.m., followed by Brighton taking on Man City at 11:30 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Liverpool will take on Aston Villa at 2 p.m. On Sunday, Man United faces off against Leicester City, while Chelsea will play Arsenal at 10:30 a.m. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
Raising little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Hurry, this deal ends soon. See Home Club for details.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the ticket crew as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Brought to you by General Fire and Safety, Raisin Canes, Perch Merch, Sunbelt Rentals, Mullen Motors, Select Plumbing, and the Kindler Hotel. On 93.7 The Ticket and the